Okay, so we were in this question. Your entire postulation is based on coexistence. Uh, so basically, this is one of the students, I think, who is asking this, that Babaji's postulation is based on coexistence. You have said that nature exists within omnipotence. Therefore, coexistence is all that exists. You say omnipotence is present in places where no units are, as well as in places that are fully packed with units. Please explain this. Okay, so I think the question person is asking this because maybe they're feeling that there is some place where the omnipotence is and some places where it's not. So the concept of omnipresent reality, omnipotence, is easy to understand. We can refer it to as space, omnipotence, Paramatma, or God. What is this reality? It is the fundamental reality, it is energy. This reality is such that all units within it can be inspired by it. How does nature get inspired by omnipotence? Does it apply force? There is a hypothesis that it all started with a big bang and the resulting force initiated everything one by one. Omnipotence space does not possess any attribute to apply force. There are no waves, motion, or pressure in space. So the idea of applying force doesn't arise. Every entity is energized, active, and inspired within omnipotence, and this is evident. It is present everywhere. Every unit is immersed in and surrounded by omnipresence. Units are distinct from one another because omnipotence exists between them. If they if omnipotence were not present, they wouldn't be distinct. The joining of units occurs because of omnipotence exists in between. This way, there is a basis for the composition and decomposition of entities in nature. Entities are fully energized and therefore active. So let's pause here and see what this paragraph exactly means. Uh, he is saying that omnipotence is what inspires. uh, the reality is such that all units within it can be inspired by it, right? So what it means by reality is the all the units, right, that are inside this omnipotence, they are inspired by it. By inspiring, I think it means that they are activated by it, or they are in um, the units are having those electrons moving around it, and that's why we can say that it's inspired by it. And reality means what we see or what we feel or what we touch is basically all the atoms and their interaction with each other. And that's how we see the whole of reality, right? And how does the nature get inspired by omnipotence? Does it apply force? There is a hypothesis that all that started with a big bang and the resulting force initiated everything one by one. So basically, Babaji is saying that there was no such thing. He is saying that they have always existed and they'll always exist. The particles and the space, they've always existed. So omnipotence space does not possess any attribute to apply force. There are no waves, motion, or pressure in space. So the idea of applying force doesn't arise. So here again, it is a sort of a energy which cannot be seen, just like electricity. And electricity is a good example because when you even look at the current carrying wires and non-current carrying wires, you will not see any difference. But there is electricity in one of them, and the other one does not possess any electricity. So basically, it is like somewhat you can, to understand it, we can say to that, that when the electrons come into its contact, they are interacting with each other to create orderliness. So this is what is the hardest part to understand, is that the particles of the atoms, inside the atoms, like we can say them, the electrons, they are being activated by the mere fact that they are in space. So uh, the question here is asking that there are some places where the space, your entire postulation is based on coexistence. You have said that nature exists within omnipotence, therefore coexistence is all that exists. You say omnipotence is present in places where no units are, as well as places that fully packed with units. Please explain this. So here the questioner is asking that what is the point of space existing where there are no atoms? I think that's what they ask, trying to ask. If they are in the places where there are no units, they are also in the place where their units are there. So here we should understand that units means atoms, and that way, obviously, the atoms are in the conjunction of the center particle and the surrounding particles or electrons, as we said, right? And as long as everything is in space, right? I mean, nothing can be excluded out of space. So as long as everything is in space, and by thing I mean atoms, they are all inspired to move and act according to their composition. So, for example, two oxygen molecules will form O2, two hydrogen molecules will create H2, and this is how they are basically moving around uh, in the variety of space. By that I mean, be it in the connection with Earth, or in space also, there are particles of hydrogen floating around. So yeah, they are just inspired by the space, as it said here. Then every entity is energized, active, and inspired within omnipotence, and this is evident. So this is going to be now this line is going to be explained in the lines which are following. So energized means uh, the movement. I believe that is what is the activity which is in the atom. Every atom is because of the space. That's what it is saying here. Energized, active, and inspired within omnipotence, and this is evident, right? It is present everywhere. This is space basically is present everywhere. Every unit is immersed in and surrounded by omnipresence, right? Units are distinct from one another because omnipotence exists between them. So now this means that there is space between each atom, and that's how everything is distinct. Like the surface of your skin is distinct from the surface of some plastic material that you're holding, or anything, the item that you hold, because there is space in between them, right? And if omnipotence were not present, they wouldn't be distinct. So like there would be there would be no distinction. Everything will be mixing up with every other atom, right? The joining of units occurs because of omnipotence exists in between. So now every atom that interacts with another atom which it recognizes, that joining also because it happens because there is omnipotence existing between. And this is what is allowing the atoms to share the orbits, because um, the orbits are already having the space in between. Like every atom, if I could just pull up a structure of the atom, so that you can just have a glimpse of what it means exactly. And a simple one would be very easy to understand. I'm actually not at home, so the connection is a little bit slow, the mobile connection. Possible.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Namaste, Vidya.
Yes.
The central idea is that in existence there are two things. One is
Mm.
space, which we call as omnipotence or omnipresent, and the second one is the units. Units we take
Right.
in the form of there are four forms like material, plants, animal, and human beings. But if we go to the minutest thing, then we find the everything is made up of atoms. This can atom can be a sentient atom or insentient atom. यानी जड़ परमाणु भी हो सकता है या जीवन परमाणु जो हमने यहाँ पे देखा. तो there is in between every atom there is a space which we are calling as omnipotence or omnipresence. So these are the two distinct realities which we can see everywhere. And in between the atom also there is a space, that is the electrons or other elements are separated with the help of space. So that is the I think the explanation Babaji is giving here.
Right. Yeah, so I was just trying to understand the omnipotence exists in between, right? And then this way there is a basis for the composition and decomposition of entities in nature. The entities are fully energized and therefore active. Um, by active, I think it means that they are able to form compounds. So yeah, because if they were not active, then they would be not be interacting with other elements also. So
You
that's what
can
it
say
means.
this, you can say this about the insentient atoms, but for
Mm,
sentient atoms that
mm,
again is also active because uh, the energy we get, how we think, or this कर्म स्वतंत्रता या कल्पनाशीलता जो है, how
mm,
that get energized, that also got energized through the omnipotence or the omnipresent. So both
mm.
are active in the sense both are energized. The
Right.
material that is insentient as well as the sentient, that is the
Mm,
consciousness part. Both are active.
right. Yes. So yeah, I'm having some trouble with the internet. So let's see if I can. Uh, Let me just join again because this internet is having some issue.
So we have almost completed this book and we are doing the question answers. And one thing we have learned from this book is that
Yeah.
in existence there are two things. One is units, other is space. Space, the name can be given as God, or or something from which every unit get energy. And now unit can be of two forms: insentient or materialistic things, or materialistic atom, those which can combine and make other products, and the sentient, which is the complete atom. The complete atom, it means it's a kind of Jeevan. which has man, vritti, chit, buddhi, atma. Now, this part is also very important and is active. Our thoughts are active. From where they get the energy? They get the energy from the space. So that is the meaning of that we get energy from the omnipotence, omnipresent, and we get it in other sense we can say we get inspired from that. That is the word used here. So
Mm.
everything getting energy from the omnipotence, and
Right.
because of the space in between every two units.
Mm. Yes. So it's actually very interesting because I was sometimes wondering how everything is able to work out properly, and the reason for that is because the space is in between each and every atom. The movement of the electrons is very specific, in the sense that since there is space between each electron movement, the electrons are actually moving in a disciplined order, or you can say it is moving, they are moving in orderliness. They are not clashing or combining with each other, and nor they are coming towards or hurling to the center. The space is holding them at their position. So first thing is the number of electrons are distinctly placed in their specific orbits, and that is also through the space. And then again, they are also not collapsing towards the center, and that is also because of the energy that they have been getting from the space. And so it is just like a perfect equilibrium that every atom is placed in. And this is we can observe in universally. In fact, even if we go out in space, we will realize that they are performing, or the acting, each and every elements that we have found out, they are all acting in the similar fashion. And so, as we had discussed in the previous words, that the nature's material order, its orderliness is in the fact that it stays the same. And the dharma of atoms, for example, it was that they stay the same. And this is where we are seeing that how the space is the one which is actually driving everything to be in orderliness, because of it being present in between atoms, in between the electrons, and in between the nucleus and the other orbits that are in the succeeding orbits. So everywhere there is space, and that's how everything is in orderliness. Okay, so I will read ahead now. This reality was re examined in another way. Firstly, there are entities in the form of units which have a certain volume. Secondly, there is omnipresence. The question was considered whether these have the same volume or different. Omnipresence is boundless, so there is no way to measure its volume. According to materialism, where units exist, there is no space, meaning units displace space. Therefore, materialism considers units mightier, heavier than space. However, in reality, as I observed, all units exist in a state of zero attraction. Earth, Sun, solar systems, and galaxies are all in a state of zero attraction. Zero attraction is the absolute state, indicating that there is no weight in the coexistence of omnipotence and units. Weight becomes evident only in the interaction of units. For example, weight is evident in the mutuality of two atoms due to their tendency to form molecules. Similarly, weight is evident among molecules due to their tendency to form definite compositions. This manifestation of weight is the mutuality of units, is commonly called the gravitational force. In reality, it indicates participation in the development progression of universal orderliness. Okay, so I would like to pause here and say that what science is saying, that every atom has a very minuscule gravitational pull towards another atom, and like for example, every unit like ships in the sea are given this formula where the two any objects in a floating environment will be attracted to each other based on their mass. So the much I know of this is that they are having a calculation that the number of atoms are correlated to the amount of force that it will put outside, outwardly towards anything else. But here Babaji is saying that everything is weightless, first of all, and that even if they do interact, it is in the here it's saying in reality, uh, it indicates the participation in the development, progression, or universal orderliness. So everything that is interacting or attracting, for example, is due to the participation of orderliness, universal orderliness. There is no such thing that the moon is placed where it is because of gravity or anything like that. Here Babaji is saying that is universal orderliness and towards development progression. That's how they are staying in their place. So again, a sort of a small challenge for the science, because they will say that no, there the moon has its gravity, earth is holding the gravity of the moon has its own also gravity lightly, and even the sun is holding all the planets, so the sun has also its own gravity. But um, here it's saying that when there is interactivity, that is this interactivity is towards orderliness, right? So this is something that we will have to understand a little bit deeper. There's a given they've given an example here. Let's see. For example, a stone dropped from a height within Earth's environment falls to the Earth due to its inherent tendency towards development. This inherent tendency is commonly called gravitational force. We understand from these two evidences that everything in nature is active, omnipotence is permeative. Its testimony is that each unit is active, regulated, and full of strength. Wherever a unit may be situated in existence, its regulation, activity, and strength remain as it is, which is the which is also the testimony of uh, permeativeness of omnipotence. So yeah, a little bit of explanation I would it would help, but at this point, I think it's quite clear that the gravity that we know it is differently described here. Uh, what Babaji is saying that there is an interaction between two bodies, and that is towards orderliness. So there is something of a completely new way of seeing the things. Um, the vastness of all these cosmic bodies that we see are actually there for the orderliness, be it the Jupiter or the Saturn or all these planets that are there. They are performing a sort of some way. We can actually even see the way they are interacting. The inner planets, which are near close to the sun, and then are surrounded by the asteroid belt. So it's like the asteroid belt is actually creating a sort of an orderliness, so that other sort of say other bodies that are traveling towards this earth or towards other planets are actually stopped by the asteroid belt. So these things we will say that the stones are happen to be there by coincidence. But if we look at the solar system, there is the asteroid belt. It's quite unique to see. Let me just pull up a picture if I can. So I hope I can just expand this image. It's very unique how it's almost like a wall, like the great wall of uh, many stones that are actually protecting the earth in a way. So let's see if I can expand it. Yeah. So you can see here the center is the earth, and then there's we have the Mercury and Venus, and then the earth is the third orbit. You can see here, right? So there, where you can see the pointer now, there is earth there, right? And then that place is surrounded by a asteroid belt. That's what it's called here. The main asteroid belt. That's what it's said here. And then the Trojan asteroids. So there are also other asteroids outside. So yeah, you can see that how it's actually, uh, and then after this is where I think Jupiter. You can see here Jupiter is there. so that after the asteroid belt, the bigger planets are existing. So again, a sort of an incubating effect is happening, I think, here, an incubation. Um, Jupiter is outside the asteroid belt, right? So you can say that uh, a way of protecting surakshan, right? And orderliness, sanrakshan, right? So sanrakshan is happening there, and this could never be described by science, like how is it so or why is it so. But Earth is indeed protected by the asteroid belt, right? But yeah, if anybody else has any question, we can pause and then otherwise continue the next question. Okay. You have postulated infinite units are immersed, surrounded, and soaked in omnipotence, and these units are also eliminated from infinite angles in mutuality. Please explain this. Okay, again, I think we have sort of talked about it, but let's see. I have written an axiom here. Each unit is illuminated in infinite angles. Infinite angles extend in all directions as straight lines from an entity, and its image remains to be there on those straight lines. The angle extends to another entity at some place, so the image of the unit is there on the entity to which the angle extends. This way, it is evident that each entity is illumined. The evidence that each entity is illumined proves that illumination is inherent in all units. In this way, the infinite angles within every unit are in the sense of illumination only. As a result of your image on me, I am able to understand your illumination. So, we actually can prove this by the fact that thermal cameras are actually able to pick up this light from even the darkest spot. Like there are some waves of light that we cannot see in the dark, but then there is infrared light that we can see through these special cameras, and they can see a human being or anything that is emitting heat in the pitch dark. You can see that through those cameras. And so it's proved here again with that Babaji is saying that each unit is throwing light in all directions, right? So that's what he's saying here. And that is then going to be bouncing on our eyes also at some point. But obviously, we don't have that sort of sensitivity or that instrument. We have to use an instrument for that. But Babaji is saying here that every unit is illumined, right? And when it is that is the case, so that means that it's throwing out light, as it said here. Is it have they used the word light? They've not used the word light. They've just said it's illumined, right? The angles extends to another entity at some place, so the image of the unit is there on the entity to which the angle extends. This way, it is evident that each entity is illumined. So, okay, so it's not emitting photons as such, but it's illumined. Basically, it's having some sort of illumination, as it said here, but not basically photons. So light is made of photons, but here it's not photons that are emitted from every atom, but some sort of illumination. So again, as I said, we have instrumentation of today that is infrared cameras, which can pick up this heat from any body that is outside there. And indeed, these cameras can also pick heat differences from objects. So that's how they can see in the dark also. They can see that the whole three-dimensional world, even if it is completely dark, right? Because everything has a specific temperature, and there is a small minute temperature difference between everything. And so we see like we can see through when we are walking with the with the infrared camera. We can walk without any problems because everything is a temperature difference. Okay, so the next question is, today the whole world is running after making a profit, be it in the business and employment or even education. which you have termed profit obsession. This has led to social, economic, and environmental crises globally. We can, where can we find their solution? What is the alternative if the world wants to escape this vicious cycle of profit making? I think this is a question of the hour. I think it was then, and it also is right now. We are seeing more and more about profit making ever than ever before, because we are seeing how the earth is also suffering in the sense whatever profit we make, it is the amount of loss that the earth, we are losing the amount of environment, be it the weather is going bad, the waters bodies are being polluted, the air is being polluted. So definitely a question that is of current nature also. If something fails, we can strive again for success. Humans are trapped in the state of goallessness, then directionlessness. They have not only lost their sense of purpose and direction, but their plans and programs also lack certainty. Certainty in any program can only be achieved when the goal is stable and the direction is clear. Essentially, what is required is a harmonious alignment of science with wisdom and wisdom with science. Like a symphony in motion, that is the key. If we search for the goal of the current profit obsessed economic system, we find it is only about accumulation, comfort, consumption, and overconsumption, which can never provide true satisfaction. So I think we are, I think, very clear on this, that the sensory personas are sort of temporarily satisfied with materialism, and it will only lead to accumulation, comfort, consumption, and overconsumption, right? Which can never provide true satisfaction, because it is inherently temporary satisfaction, or rather just for comfort only, right? So there is no point of contentment in accumulation and comfort. Not a single person among the 7 billion on this earth has found or can find true satisfaction in accumulation and comfort. This evidence of goallessness and directionlessness prevalent today. Okay, sorry. This is the evidence, right, of goallessness and directionlessness prevalent today. So the mere fact that everybody is, accumulating is the evidence in itself that we are still not having any sort of goals. I mean, the right goal is existence, has planned for us. Basically, that's what it's saying here. Of course, we have goals of being very, very rich or some things like that. But then this is not going to be, as it said here, not going to be giving any uh, true satisfaction. If the goal and direction are definite, then our program is also definite. I call the current situation profit obsession, because satisfaction will never be achieved here, but we will keep running like mad. This is what obsession means. I have seen this madness. You must also see it. This craze for profit keeps increasing, it never slows down. What goal will we achieve by increasing this madness? At what point will we find satisfaction? Even if we achieve accumulation and comfort, they can only be used within the realm of consumption and multi consumption and overconsumption. It has no other endpoint. No one has ever found satisfaction from consumption. These two observations led me to conclude that the current situation is nothing but an obsession. If all 7 billion people on this planet become obsessed this way, who will rescue them? In an attempt to find the answers to this question, my research shows that each human desires universal good, happiness, certainty, and its continuity. All of these combined is the subject of this exploration of Madhyastashan. The economic system is just one part of this entire picture. So, this part is very crucial, that his research has led that each and every human being can be can opt for universal goodness and happiness and certainty and its continuity. Like, we are also after money for the simple reason that we don't know what is going to be tomorrow's certainty. So that is one of the reasons that we are actually accumulating, so that one day we feel that we are going to have enough to be happy, or sort of never have any issues of um, not having enough food or anything like that. But we are also not understanding that this is just a very simple way of looking at the whole of existence, and 7 billion people cannot have um, anything. I mean, the much that people want is actually more than what the earth can suffice to or to give to, because earth is into cyclicity. And we should understand that for example, when we eat, we can just eat so much because of our physical limitation itself. Yet if we all understand the cyclicity of everything, then we can eat for 100 years without any issue. But if we start gathering all of us for the next 100 years, then it will be a very turbulent tasks for everybody, and even the earth will not be uh, able to provide the same. So we should understand this, that the secret of all this is the cyclicity of everything, and that it is the very way of existence to continue. So the continuity factor, as is said here, we need to see this. There is that when we are knowledged, or when we are knowledgeful, we will understand this continuity of these three orders and its cyclicity, and that will be the one which is going to be now where we are also going to play our part in the orderliness, which we are not doing actually right now. As I said, we are just going into the collection or the accumulation. All of this combined is the subject of this exploration of Madhya Darshan. The economic system is just one part of this entire picture. Resources are in the form of body, mind, and wealth. All three must be considered. Economics cannot exist if any one of these is left out. The economics we have studied so far focus on the money as the primary resource. Money is classified into two types: metal and paper. Paper money is produced in printing presses, and with the widespread accessibility of printing technology, counterfeit money has become a problem. Therefore, modern economics, which is highly praised, is essentially the science of currency, notes, and coins. We have possesses we may possess all the currency notes and coins, but they cannot quench our thirst or fill our stomachs unless we obtain the desired goods with them. So, what is money? Money is merely a symbolic unit for exchange. Having a symbol is not the same as having the real thing. Believing that money can buy anything is madness. To resolve this issue, I propose that economic resources should be understood as body, mind, and wealth. Okay, again, another proposal here, that what is the true resource? It is not money, but actually our body, mind, and wealth, and where we use it after we have understood. Here, wealth refers to common aspirations: food, shelter, clothing, and special aspirations: telecommunications and transportation. So, uh, we are wealthy when we have enough food for the year, or we have a shelter or a house, enough clothes, and we have a telecommunication ability, like we could say a mobile phone or something like that, and then transportation where we can move from one place to another. So when we have all this, one we can say we have wealth, right? In the proposed system, the items we need will be used rather than hoarded. So, for example, we can store the grain we grow for 1 year, 2 years, or even 4 years. But if we keep it for, for longer, it will rot. Similarly, a machine or instrument will rust and become unusable if not used. Therefore, everything we produce is meant for use, not hoarding. So this is very interesting. The economics is actually exploiting this very fact that machines do depreciate. And I had once given an example of how we have a metals junkyard where the ambassador car's body was there, and it is not catching rust as fast as the car that we have today are catching the rust. So um, It means that even the economics have understood this, that we can make substandard products, and in the process some skip some stages in production and actually cut the costs and corners there. Some people actually make products that are how do I say it, inbuilt to break down so that they can make again another profit on our next buying. But yeah, everything does disintegrate, and that is actually one way of seeing that cyclicity is in play. Because if everything was existing the way it was, then the cycle of atoms would be not taking place. And so disintegration is actually part of the cyclicity of nature. So we do see that there are that the matter which is made of any item which is made of matter will actually hold its itself, but also will disintegrate if we don't use it properly, or it's meant to be used while it is holding um, its shape or its form, right? So if we keep it or we hold it with us, like we are holding some grains, for example, without using it, without eating it, or without growing it, then they will start rotting. So that is another part of its cyclicity only. It's not that we can have some grains that are going to survive for 1,000 years, but rather they will rot into the soil so that they can again become the fertilizer for the next crop. So this is very important to understand that nature is into cyclicity, and economics, rather modern economics, have actually exploited this break apart, and so that they can make another profit. So people of tomorrow will be creating products that will be utilityful. They will have the utility. Yes, Neelam Bhai.
Yeah, namaste to all.
Yes.
I just remembered from this paragraph. I see a vlog of a couple. They have a sweet little kid. She must be, I think, 3 years old. And the female is a teacher.
Mm.
Now, the kid, whenever, see, everything in today's world, we know that comes for some cost, that money is the exchange for that to get something. Now, whenever they say, they ask the kid, okay, like when they play doctor, doctor with them, and she treats her papa very nicely. So he said, अच्छा आप कितना लोगे? तो वो हम इंस्टिल करते हैं कि कुछ अगर आपको करना है तो उसका पैसा देना होता है। अब उस बच्चे को कुछ पता नहीं है,
Yeah.
बट वो हम इंस्टिल करते हैं। और दूसरी बात, वो बच्ची बोलती है, हाँ ठीक है, 1 रुपया दे दीजिए। तो वो बोलते हैं, अरे एक
Mm.
रुपया आप तो घाटा कराओगे। मतलब देखो, वो बच्चों के उसमें तो रहता ही नहीं है जहन में,
Yeah.
दैट
Right.
सो स्मॉल किड्स, हम उसको अभी से वैसा शिक्षण दे रहे हैं, तो नेचुरली जब वो बड़े होंगे तो वो इसी में ही दे विल बी जस्ट लिविंग विद दैट। बट नाउ इट्स सो
Right.
इम्पेरेटिव कि हम किड्स को ये शिक्षण में ये चीज दें जो मानवीय शिक्षण है। और जो ये कह रहा है,
Right.
मतलब इसमें ऑफ कोर्स दिस फैमिली गोज टू सत्संग एंड ऑल्सो, संस्कार कुछ अच्छे रहते हैं बच्चों में और परिवार में, बट दैट डजंट सफाइज विद द बिहेवियर दैट यू डू विद द प्रकृति एंड विद द रिलेशनशिप्स दैट यू हैव। सो जस्ट मुझे वो याद आया, so I thought to share. Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I want to add to that also, because we, as people who are, for example, rich and resourceful, we also have people who are coming into our house that are, like, say, for example, workers or drivers or anything like that. So I'm not saying that these are bad people, but they also interact with our children. And in that sense, what happens is that when there is a hierarchy of people, and when there is no understanding of relationships, and rather the only relationship there is monetary relationship, so then we are seeing that there is a very big difference on the way how we are thinking. Maybe we are rich and we are thinking, oh, we are givers or we are contributors, but then those children who are interacting are also interacting with the lower class or the people who don't need or people who don't have much.
and so they are interacting with consumers. So even if we are seeing that what we are doing as parents is a good thing, like we are teaching kids to be very giving, forthcoming, helpful, all these kind of things, but the teachers, the workers, the surrounding, the neighbors, everybody is interacting with the kids, and so the kids are picking up a lot of things. And I think a lot of how do I say it, a lot of negative or gray areas are being painted here, and the kids also pick up the things. Even the television is a very crude example. They are seeing a lot of visual, like they say a picture is 1,000 words. And so and you know, there are the television actually emits 25 pictures per second. So everything that they see on the television is actually picked up so fast, and a lot of it is like even values like envy, jealousy, greed, and all these kind of things are instilled indirectly through these mediums. So we have to be very like sensitive to all these kind of things. That is the word, that we have to create an environment first, and then also there's kind of group of people, not just the environment physically, but also in the habitat also, the kind of people that we are surrounding our kids with. They also have to be very knowledgeable to start with. Otherwise what will happen is just a sort of a hodgepodge where um, again the kid obviously will sort of be inclined to be thinking like an animal of who is powerful, and that powerful person is going to be heard first instead of us as the parents, for example. So very delicate position that we are in right now, as we are transitioning from like the way the animals interact and the way we are supposed to interact as a coexistential being. So yeah, so as I said, it's adding to what you had just said, you know. So it's just not one thing, but a lot of key factors that are playing when we are seeing the whole world the way it is coming up, you know. And of course
मैं
the
तो
peer
भैया
pressure from the kids.
what
Hmm.
I do is from my
Yes.
part is I do see some of these vlogs और मैं है ना उनके कमेंट
Hmm.
सेशन में कमेंट करती हूँ कि आप लोग ये
Uh,
दर्शन सहस्तित्ववाद जीवन विद्या करके आप टाइप करें और उसके
uh,
बारे में पढ़े, इट्स अ ह्यूमन एजुकेशन। तो
uh,
ऐसे करते हैं बट मुझे ऐसा कोई जरिया
uh,
मिले कि उनको बताएं, बिकॉज द फीमेल इज अ टीचर एंड
uh,
शी इज अ रिनाउंड टीचर, डिजिटली वो बच्चों को सिखाती है ना। अगर उनके द्वारा तो
uh,
मतलब जो भी रहेगा उनका, आई डोंट नो व्हाट आर द फॉलोअर्स, मैं भूल गई, बट ज्यादा फॉलोअर्स हैं तो बच्चे
uh,
ही ज्यादा फॉलोअर्स
right,
हैं तो उनको ये बात ऐसे पहुंचे तो
right.
आई मीन आई फील दैट इट इज गुड। मतलब ठीक है इन लोग ऐसे कंटेंट लेके आ रहे हैं बिकॉज ऐसा कंटेंट से तो हम भी जिए हैं, बट
Mm.
सिंस नाउ वी हैव गॉट दैट राइट दिस थिंग, आई डू कमेंट के ऐसे ऐसे आप कर सकते हो। बहुत सारे उनके वीडियोस पे ऐसे कमेंट्स करती हूँ ताकि कभी वो पढ़ें तो वो देखें ये चीज को, एटलीस्ट गूगल करेंगे क्या है, कभी तो कोई करेगा ही। सो ऐसी एक करती हूँ मैं।
I think it's going to be hard somewhat. I think because ये जो फॉलोअर्स जो के ना आप कह रहे, वो वही सब चीजों को फॉलो कर रहे हैं. They are wanting to follow this kind of things only, and somewhere our comments will be sort of heard or not heard. That is the question, because the environment is not supporting our comments. I think that is the thing I'm trying to say. But let's see. Let's keep on going. I also do the same as you are saying. I sometimes comment,
देखिए भैया अभी उन लोग
especially.
दिल्ली में रहते हैं, ठीक है। नाउ देयर इज वन ऑफ द
Hmm.
व्लॉग दैट आई रिमेम्बर, दे वर सेइंग आह क्या मतलब गर्मी पड़ेगी और अच्छा, मतलब हम भी कहते
Hmm.
ही थे कि गर्मी हो रही है और
Hmm.
बारिश पड़ गई तो हमको बहुत अच्छा लगता है वो चीज, बट
Right.
वो ध्यान नहीं जाता है दैट इट इज एक्चुअली वेरी अननेचुरल टू हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ एटमॉस्फेयर नाउ। मतलब
Right.
समर सीजन की बात कर रही थी तो अ,
Hmm.
मतलब सो कॉल एडुकेट, जैसे हमको भी ऐसा लगता था, हमको ऐसा लगता था गर्मी होती है तो बारिश पड़ गई,
Ah,
हाँ अच्छा हुआ, बट कभी कभी ऐसे
right.
जहन में नहीं आता था आफ्टर लिविंग इन कच्छ। थोड़ा मेरे उसमें भी
Right.
आता है कि फार्मर्स का तभी पाक होता है, तो
Yeah.
उनका वो टाइम पे
Right. Right.
बिना मौसम बारिश हो जाए उनको कितना ये तकलीफ So
Yeah.
वो ध्यान नहीं
Yeah.
जाता,
Yeah.
we just show it to people and people see it
Mm,
fun way, but काफी कुछ चीजें इस पे
mm,
की जा सकती है। अभी मोदी जैसे नरेंद्र मोदी जी, ही हैड अ कॉन्वर्जेशन विद ऑल गेमर्स, ठीक है, अभी उनकी इंडस्ट्रीज उन्होंने
right.
बढ़ाया, एंड दोज गेमर्स आप देखोगे
Ah,
एक एक गेमर्स के पास इफ यू सी देयर लाइफस्टाइल एंड एवरीथिंग, इट इज वेरी बैड।
yeah.
पर ठीक है, वो
Right.
इंडस्ट्री चाइना और जापान के साथ
Mm,
उनको compete करा रहे हैं, सो इट्स अ इंडस्ट्री, सो ही मस्ट हैव हैड दैट कॉन्वर्सेशन विद दीज
mm,
यंग गेमर्स। तो ऐसे ही इन्फ्लुएंसर्स के साथ ये सब
mm,
सरकार कर ही सकती है, ऐसी सब चीजें। तो
mm,
मेरे पार्ट से जो मुझे
mm,
ऐसा लगता है, वो कभी उनको नरेंद्र मोदी जी का उनका चैनल है उस पे कर देते हैं कि कभी तो ध्यान
mm.
जाए किसी का और करे, प्रयत्न तो जारी रखना चाहिए ऐसे लगता है, बिकॉज
Yeah.
इट्स अ
I नहीं सही बात है। हाँ, नहीं सही बात है आपका। आपका पॉइंट वेल रिसीव्ड है। आई वुड आल्सो ऐड कि व्हाट आई डू समटाइम्स इज दैट व्हाट द climate change is going to do is the people who are creating the pollution are actually not going to be the ones who are going to be affected by it, but rather the people who are down the hierarchy, like those people who are living near the rivers, or those people who cannot afford to move, and they will be the ones who will be the like the climate refugees. That is a new word that is coming out, and it's happening everywhere. I just heard of floods happening in New Zealand also. So there is a very very high chance of India having a lot of rain this time, and it's going to create a lot of havoc. And this is going to be the people who are going to be in the coastal areas, the river where the rivers are channeling those areas, all these places. And also we have seen where a lot of rain happens before. There are landslides there, for example, in Kerala and all these places. So a lot of rain also creates havoc where there is normal rain before also. So there is going to be a lot of issue going to be happening. And climate refugees is another word that is going to be, we have to be fearful now. As I said, that just a few people are creating the pollution and the whole of humanity is suffering for it. But if we broaden our vision, or if we become sensitive, then we will see that that momentary thing that we feel that that the rains have come and now we have cooled down is actually a very bad harvest day for the farmer. So this is again when we become sensitive enough that we will see that our small actions of continuing what we are doing actually has a very big impact on a handful of people, or rather many people down the line, which are actually dependent on the ecosystem to be staying stable and to be staying predictable. We are actually making it as a indirect contribution towards its havoc. So yeah, I mean, everybody has to be sensitive. That's the main point, and become knowledgeable. I think that's how we're going to move forward. But yeah, so just a couple of minutes we have. Finish this paragraph. The more we hoard, the more problematic it becomes. Therefore, using resources becomes inevitable. All produce beyond what is needed for use can be employed for right use and purposeful use. So that is clearly understandable, right? I have observed something wonderful. The mind uh, is necessary for producing anything. Along with the mind, the body is necessary for production. It is only with the union of the mind and body that all production happens. In this way, we can clearly accept the concept that produced objects are wealth, which means objects of common and special aspirations. What will be the benefit of this discussion? It will turn humankind's minds towards production. We are discouraging and destroying the production tendency in humankind by propagating modern economics in education with fanfare. After this, they talk of specialization, which destroys production tendencies even further. The specialist whose production tendencies have been destroyed is believed to be superior.
These so-called superior people demand everything while not doing any production themselves. In fact, they have the maximum demands. In this way, the anti-production tendency and lust for consumption together lead to revolt, rebellion, and exploitation with the world. This is the way humans are trapped. They want to become free from this. I have attained this freedom. I have no need to exploit anyone, nor do I have any need to do any revolt or rebellion. I produce in excess of my needs with my labor. So can you. Needs are ascertained only at the level of family and not individually or at any other level. We experience prosperity upon producing more than the family's requirements. Hence, the need to contemplate cyclic economics was felt. It has been articulated in Hindi and offered to the world. If it is understood by people, it will lead to the good of all. It will not cause any harm to any person or any family anywhere. If anything, it will only result in good. Everyone needs to be free from from the way of exploitation. Everyone needs to be free from the way of revolt and rebellion. The strategies adopted by politics will never result in fearlessness and peace anywhere. Peaceful living requires a cyclical economic system. I think we can pause here. So, as this whole paragraph is concluding, is that the fact that things are not cyclic in nature, and since they are not like that, exploitation happens, and when exploitation happens, nobody gets enough, everybody is still crying for more. So once we understand cyclic nature, and once we understand that we are also part of existence, which is coexistence, then suddenly we are responsible for for producing. Right now, I will give you an example. The farmer is relying more and more heavily on the seed producers, and on the fertilizer producers, and on the pesticide producers, because he has lost this specialization within himself. He has lost the ability of lack of training, maybe, or lack of self. How do we say it? Uh, the sustenance of agriculture is completely gone. I mean, the farmer was very independent. He had his own seed banks, and they used to exchange the seeds. There were festivals there where this was happening everywhere. But now, because of modern gadgetry and modern machinery and all these kind of things, in the name of modernization, the farmer has actually fallen towards the ills of this multinational companies. And these multinational companies, the very multinational company that produces the pesticides, are also creating the fertilizer. So it's like the whole thing is being taken over by a group of people who have ill intentions, and no, just profit intentions rather. And nowhere is there any sort of cyclicity in this, as they are just completely linked with creating something which is not cyclic. They are also the ones which are creating the profit, like creating un intentionally or unintentionally, they are creating some sort of pests and diseases in the plants. And then we have to buy those pesticides, and then they're creating they're creating a cycle of profit making, like a cash cow, for example. They are having all the control, and the farmer is actually left, like, he thinks that he has created a lot of produce, but at the end of the day, he is giving it to the seeds producers, he's giving to the fertilizer producers, he's giving to the pesticide producers. So very, very sad, and very, very I would say unethical. But then how can we explain this to the farmers? He was producing less maybe in the past, but at least he had a lot of control over all the things. Now he may be producing more, but then he is having even more expenses. So, and the land amount is also decreasing, because these multinationals are also grabbing the land, in a way, because they have a lot of capital, these things. And they have the ways of borrowing, giving collateral and all these kind of things. So very, very interesting how the future pans out.
especially with the young farmers or or the people who are the children of the farmers, because as they say, the doctor will create a doctor as their offspring, but then the farmer is always never going to say that my son or my daughter become a farmer, you know. So that issue is there always. I keep on coming back to the farmers because that has always been my close uh, a study, and I have actually seen this, that yes, this is the issue where the farmers face a lot of backlash from the society, where they are not accepted as uh, how do you say it, high society, or people who are worthy to be looked upon, whereas he is the one who is actually producing the best and the most, in the sense that he is creating something which is cyclic in nature. He is part of feeding some people of the planet, and he is at the base of everything which is linked with prosperity. So yeah, at some point of in our lives, we should be actually revisiting this place that we call farmers, and we should actually be seeing where we can contribute in their um, processes. I think if we are not learning it, at least we can help understand ourselves, so that we can create a sort of a self-sustaining system. You know, so that's the what I think is required. But yeah, so yeah,
So,
I think
Dia, what
yeah.
I have learned from this particular question related to the profit margins, one thing is very clear that more profit means exploitation. So the person will definitely be exploiting, then only they can have more profits. Otherwise, a genuine profit or genuine margin is enough. Now, the person having more profit, what he will be able to achieve will be accumulation. And Babaji has said that accumulation will bring more problems. It will, and it we have seen in our lives also. The persons having too much of accumulation, and you have many times mentioned also that they are having more troubles, more court cases, more murders, more thefts, and all these things we can see if there is a discrimination too much in the society. So this profit margin or exploitation or the accumulation will not take anyone to the peace of mind, which is important. And
Right.
second thing, Babaji said about the resources, and the resource is not only the money, it is rather wealth. Wealth is uh, only the necessary things which are required in your life, like the सामान्य आकांक्षा और जो स्पेशल जो चीजें हैं जैसे कि दूरगमन दूरशरण. सो व्हाट वी
महत्वाकांक्षा.
सी. हाँ, महत्वाकांक्षा.
Right.
तो ये चीजें इनफ है. सेकंड इज द बॉडी एंड थर्ड इज द माइंड. ये सभी चीजों का को रिसोर्स कहा गया और इन्हीं के कॉम्बिनेशन से चीजें बनती हैं. A person
Mm.
having too much money but is not healthy, not is mentally happy,
Mm.
is of no use.
Right.
What Babaji said and what we have observed in our lives. So very
Right.
beautiful question, and the beautiful answer has been given by Babaji. Yes,
Right.
Vidya.
यस, बढ़िया। आज का सेशन में काफ़ी अर्निंग लर्निंग्स हुआ, और समझ में आया कि यस, वी आर in the sense of prosperity. I think it's a mindset thing, and hoarding the things, as we said, even if it be cash or or capital or all these things, they are actually going to create the future distrust. Or like, if you are very rich and you are knowledgeable, I think that's still acceptable, because that way you will be using your wealth, tan man dhan, towards the orderliness. But when it comes that you are not even knowledgeable and you are delusional, literally, and then you are still accumulating the wealth, now that is clearly social. Because first of all, the person who is knowledgeable will not do this kind of things, which is exploitation. So any person who has a lot of wealth can be argued to have done some exploitation down the line in the past, or maybe in the future, or in the current process is doing the exploitation some way or the other, because somebody is doing the extra, going the extra mile, to make some money for the boss, and the boss is just giving maybe 1/10 or 1/100th of the share. So yes, this is definitely not conducive to my understanding also, and I always felt this sort of negligence. And the way I used to get my peace of mind is I used to give the loans to the workers which I was acquainted with. But that didn't help at all, because at the end of the day, what do you do when you loan something? You are actually not giving the money, but you are taking it at the end of the month. So that did help also. So we have to do this in a humanistic or humane way, and the humane way is giving the right knowledge, and then the right vyavastha. As again Babaji was saying, daya, kripa, karuna, that stage we have to keep ourselves at that height that we have to take ourselves, so that we can do the daya, the kripa, the karuna. And if somebody does not have anything, we can do the karuna on them. So that is the stage that we have to take ourselves. I think that's the best way that we can find that we are in harmony with the whole of humanity. Ji. But yeah, nice discussion. We are still in Ahmedabad and not having the proper connection. So let's see. But we'll continue anyways. And we hope to meet again tomorrow, same time. Everybody, have a good night.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.